What's up, guys? I'm Kyle Milan, and we are back with another live. Today's Thursday. It's the afternoon, and I brought a friend with me. Alex, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Alex with MFG Tribe. I am now the sales manager over here. I have to say thank you, Kyle, for this opportunity. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to doing more of these lives with you all throughout the year.
Yeah, so we're going to be going live twice a month to talk strictly about sales, bringing Alex in. Alex's boots on the ground, leading the sales team here, has a lot of experience, been with me for almost 2 years, spent all of last year blowing it up in sales. So he gets to speak firsthand to some of the strategies and tactics that we use here, what's working, what isn't, another person to check out. So if you guys aren't following or connect with Alex on LinkedIn, go ahead and hit him up, give a follow, because he produces a lot of his own content. He's going to be producing more content for you guys. But today, Thursday, second Thursday of the month, every single month, we're going to be going live talking about sales on the second Thursday and the fourth Thursday. And today we're talking about one of the most important areas, which is going to be follow-up. I love how looking at the screen, like I'm taller than Alex right now in my chair, and he's
because your chair's
6'7".
higher.
Yeah. So I think it's funny that my head, like I look bigger than you.
You do.
Yeah. So
I think they strategically did that over there. I think the video team strategically did that.
I think that they did. So today, for those of you that don't know the content, don't know what we're all about, we're an industrial sales and marketing agency, MFG Tribe. Been doing this for 8 years. We only work with industrial and manufacturing companies. My background, 20 plus years in industrial sales and marketing and engineering. We got over 950 videos on my YouTube channel. So if you're coming in through YouTube, I appreciate you. If you guys are on LinkedIn, give me some blue thumbs. Let me know that you're here live with us. And go ahead and follow that YouTube channel because we're producing so much content every week, probably at least 30, 40 videos a week. Half of that is talking about sales because it's so important. So throughout this talk that we're going to give, we need some engagement from you guys. So put comments in the comment section. Any sort of follow-up issues you guys run into, we can answer those questions live. Give us a scenario. Ask us how you think we should handle it. We'll give you some advice and comment in on the things that we're talking about. Tell me if you agree or disagree, and let's work through it. So ready to get into it, boys?
Let's
Boys
go.
say we're ready to get into it. So let's go. So the first thing we're going to talk about, I'm going to go to the whiteboard. We're doing whiteboards these days, and one day we'll have enough money to get a smart TV. But it all depends on that engagement. If I get enough engagement on LinkedIn, then I might just be able to go out and buy that smart TV. So let's talk about the first thing, which is the importance of follow-up. Why is follow-up important? Alex, what do you got?
Following up is important. I mean, you can't sit there. You're going to tell me that any decision you've ever made has been just, off the cusp. I know we all make decisions off the cusp. But, sometimes when you're sitting there and you're trying to help somebody make a decision, if you just leave them to their own devices, they'll forget about you. They might need that service or that product that you're having to offer. But if you're not following up, giving them some value, even showing more value than you already did on the discovery, that's what's important in the follow-up. Making sure that they're aware of how you can help them and keeping you at the front of their mind for the decision-making process.
Yeah, I mean, no sales is going to happen without a follow-up, right? Best case scenario, you guys did enough due diligence up front to build that trust quickly, and you're like, those people are ready to buy right now. That's the best case scenario. But I think most people would agree that 90, 95% of the time that doesn't happen. And so with that not happening, you have to have a robust follow-up method. It is, if not the most important, I'd say the top two most important things in the sales process. The issue is that most industrial people just don't have the practices, the methods, the tools at their disposal, the training, all of the things in between to be effective with their follow-up. I mean, stats are out there. You can look it up. Like deals happen once there has been at least 5, 6, 7, 8 follow-ups attempted. And you don't necessarily have to mean you followed up and nobody responded to you. I'm just saying that you have to consistently go after people. So from an important standpoint, I'd say it's at least number 2 most important, only second to building trust. Building trust is most important in sales. You can't have a closed deal without building that trust. Follow up, bringing new people in the lead and new people in the pipeline would be number 3. Anything else on the importance, Alex, you want to talk about?
As you've said, though, I mean, you tell us all the time, you tell the sales team all the time that, timing is key. Timing is one of the most important things. And you can say and you can think like, oh, well, maybe next week, maybe timing is key. Timing is now. That means sending it out now. Get yourself in front of them and remind them the value that you're offering them today, right this minute. Don't push it off. If some of you are sitting there right now that are pushing off some of your follow-ups to tomorrow, follow up with them right now while you're sitting here watching the live with us. Make sure that you're doing personalized follow-up too on that note.
Yeah, and that's where like timing is everything. And just even today, we're sending out some sequences, some sales stuff, and even today, somebody came back and said, "I just signed with somebody else." And it's like, if that would have been signed out maybe a month ago, maybe we could have gotten a deal from it. So, which camera am I looking at? It doesn't matter. I'm just going. So, depending on the timing of it, like that is everything. And you never know when people are making decisions. You never know where they're at in their decision-making process. So you have to continuously follow because they could have forgotten about you. And then you get back into their cycle, you get back into their funnel. And it's like, oh, shoot, you were the guy or the girl with the thing that I needed. I was looking at 5 other people. I got busy. That's where follow-up comes into play.
We had one of our sales guys, Mason. He followed up. It was, what was it, November of last year, October, when he followed up, and they said, no, we're good. And the next day, they literally messaged us and we're like, actually,
that was over the summer.
Yeah.
Yep.
We had one of our sales guys that was following up and doing one of his typical follow-ups, someone that we had already quoted them earlier in the year, I believe.
Like a year previous.
Yeah, we had already quoted them and was doing our follow-up and was just kind of touching base with them. They responded pretty quickly saying like, hey, we're still not, ready for it. But the next day, they messaged us and were like, actually, we just had a conversation with you guys. We're actually ready to open this again. Had Mason not sent that follow-up out, we probably, even though we had already quoted them, we probably wouldn't have been on the forefront of their mind. When that discussion came up, the discussion probably wouldn't have been as in-depth or trying to go towards making a decision. That follow-up will trigger a lot of people to think, especially if you have that relationship built with them already. Creating that follow-up will make them think again.
Yeah, exactly. So let's get to number 2. And what do you guys think about it? You guys agree that follow-up is important? I mean, I feel like most people would, but what do you guys think? I want to know in the comments section. While Alex is talking next, I'll jump in and add some stuff to it. So number 2 is going to be, what is it? Methods.
Frequency and methods.
Methods and frequency. So this is an important one. And just so you guys know, like, the way that we prepare for lives, it's kind of funny. So Alex is way more of a prepared person than myself. I just kind of put myself in a situation and see what comes out of my mouth.
Not all of us are as knowledgeable as you. Okay.
Yeah. So he comes with all these like key points and takeaways. I'm like, let's just break it into 5 groups. So I'm going to turn to him to keep things organized. But let's start with topic 2, which is frequency and methods. This is so important. Like, this is critical because every industrial salesperson runs into the issue of I followed up. Like, we hear it in calls with our clients. I hear it in calls with training. If you're part of, if you're in industrial sales, you want to join the Industrial Sales Accelerator program, then go ahead and leave me a message and put it in the comment section. I'll send you some information on it. Every week we meet on Fridays and go through the secrets. But I run into this all the time, and I'm sure Alex sees it when he talks to people that we're bringing on new clients. Is like, I followed up and they're not responding. And then when we dig into it, it's like, what did you do? It's like, I sent them 3 emails. And it's like, that is the classic, I feel like, response in most industrial companies is, I sent a few emails, I sent 1 or 2 emails, 3 or 4, and they haven't responded, so it's dead. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and a few, again, guys, sending 3 emails. If I came to Kyle as a sales guy, and if one of my sales guys came to me and was trying to say, hey, I followed up, how long have you followed up? Maybe it's been 3 months. How many emails have you sent? If my sales guy told me that he only sent 3 emails, what are you doing? Why are you only sending 3 emails? We don't want to obviously be annoying, but if you look into the facts and you look into the statistics, it takes about 10 to 12 follow-ups. That means 10 to 12 emails, not necessarily all the same. You need to be all following up multi-channel. It means you need to be calling, it means you need to be messaging people on LinkedIn. If your client is on Facebook, messaging them on Facebook. Having multiple channels that you are trying to follow up on to get yourself in front of them is your optimal route. Because, hey, sometimes your emails might be getting sent to spam. Sometimes they might be getting, dredged under a bunch of other things, more important things. But if you message them on something else, leave that voicemail. They might be checking that voicemail on a time that they have some downtime and are actually able to then look into what your proposal or what you're following up on, or on Instagram or on LinkedIn. following up on multiple channels. When I look into my CRM system with HubSpot, I want to look at my sales guys and go, hey, we're keeping everything tracked. When they follow up, when Mason or one of our other sales guys goes to do a follow-up, he puts in our CRM system, follow up on LinkedIn, paste that message into there. So when I'm going through our deal process and I'm looking through it and I go, okay, what of the follow-ups have been done? What are the dates? I can see what's happening, how frequently they followed up, and guess what? Eventually, they will respond to you. They'll respond to you. Even a no take that as a positive. Getting a response in general is a positive, because then guess what? You can move them on to either, hey, we're going to lose but win back later. They're not ready yet, or whatever their decision was. You can always get them back. But getting that final answer, because it gives you that opportunity to go, okay, I have checked off that follow-up. Even with a no, I have checked that follow-up enough that I can cross this off my list. Until you get a no, you need to be continually following up. Until you get some form of answer, you need to be continually following up. No answer doesn't mean no. That might mean not right now. That might mean they haven't seen it. That might mean yes in the future. You don't know. You're drawing assumptions off of something of no one responding to you.
Yeah, so let's talk about those frequencies and methods, because you just listed out a few. So methods of follow-up. You've obviously got email, right? You got phone. And for you, most people watching this are industrial. LinkedIn, that is a massive method that is so underutilized. What's another method of follow-up? You got snail mail.
Snail mail.
So we can go snail mail if we need to. What about cold visit?
Even liking things can, people think that follow-up is only messaging them. I know that, that's the most legitimate way to follow up, but, engaging on their LinkedIn, engaging with them, engaging on their company website, it brings you to the forefront again of their mind.
So social engagement, right? So that's like, I'm messaging somebody, I'm emailing, I'm calling them, they're not responding. Bro, I'm going to go to your LinkedIn and see that post and put a little comment saying, good post, brother. So you're like, oh, shoot. I know I got to respond to Kyle.
Yeah.
He keeps on calling me. I'm not hitting him back, but now he's in my LinkedIn comments. I'm about to call you out too. So you got email, phone, LinkedIn, snail mail, cold visit, social engagement. Put in the comment section below, which one are you guys doing the most? Which one do you typically go to? I have to assume it's going to be either number one or number two, that those are the most common for industrial salespeople. You could follow up, if the timing's right, you could follow up at a trade show.
Yeah.
We just did that at FabTech 2024. We're about to be doing that at MD&M West in like 3 weeks.
Who's going to be there, by the way? Who's going to be there?
Who's going to be at MD&M West? You're going to be at MD&M West in Anaheim. Put it in the comment section. Shoot us a message. We're going to be there. There's 4 of us going. Video crew as well, setting up meetings with people right now. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What else? What's another method of follow-up? Cold visit. You send them stuff in the mail. There's like micro content within here, right? Snail mail. What are you going to send them? You could send them some swag. You could send them some a brochure, a flyer, LinkedIn. This is going to be first a connection request. Right, and then it's going to be messaging or DMs. Anything else?
We can even do the what are we liking when we're going through our duck soup? What are we liking whenever we're going through there?
Endorsements.
Yeah, endorsements. There we go.
So that's a little sneaky thing that for those of you who don't know out there, you want to get somebody's attention on LinkedIn, endorse them for their top 2 skills, really any of their skills, because it's going to by default be like so-and-so endorsed you, send you a notification. So those are like sub things within LinkedIn that a lot of you guys aren't thinking about. We'll say endorse. Look at that writing, so clean and clear. Obviously, it's crisp. So you talk to somebody and you have that initial conversation with them, you got their attention. When you do that initial thing, that's when you want to send them that connection request. Because then from there, while everything's fresh, like, yeah, I'm going to accept your connection request. Then you messaging them, endorsing them, et cetera, you're already a first degree connection. It's a lot easier. But I feel like those 7 things are like the best possible methods. So when people tell us, and they tell us frequently, let's see if we got any comments here.
I'll say something.
On-site visit for follow-up.
Yeah,
Eric
that's a good
says. Text. Laura says text. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Let's text them. Phone. We're going to put texting
as a
Not-
separate.
as a separate one, because texting, I'll tell you what, if I can text somebody, I'm gonna text them every time.
If he gets that little blue box, because
Yeah.
we're iPhone users, if he gets that little blue box when he types in someone's number, you best believe you're going to get a text message from one of us.
And how many times, I mean, we'll be working a deal or talking to somebody, and let's say they don't respond to an email, and I'll be like, we got a phone number? And we're like, yeah, we got a phone number. Throw it in your phone, see if you get that if you get that box, if it's an iPhone or not. And then text them, be like, hey man, just wanted to follow up. We have used that so many times, so thank you, Laura, for pointing it out. You just got to be careful with that texting, because you don't want to piss people off. And depending on who you're going after, you guys are going after engineering, ops, purchasing people. Play it by ear, depending on who you're going after. But what else do you guys got? I'll wait for some more engagement. Go ahead and say your point.
I was going to say that perfectly segues into that persistence versus annoyance. There is definitely a very fine line between being persistent and being annoying. You know what that fine line is. Feel it out. You know how frequently someone would be pestering you. If you're pestering them every day, 5 days a week, that's going to be on the annoyance side. When we're talking about, 12 to 13 follow-ups it takes, that might take 12 or 13 follow-ups over a month or 6 weeks or something like that to complete those 12 follow-ups. You don't want 12 follow-ups in a week. That the math does not compute or does not work on that. You're not going to follow up with somebody, 4 emails, 4 calls, 3 LinkedIn messages, and, you're endorsing them in a week, because that's going to be annoyance. But being persistent and showing that you are dedicated to that client or to that potential client, that's where persistence is key. That's where you show them that you are dedicated to them. You want to help them in whatever they're trying to do, whether us being a service oriented, or if you guys are selling a product, how that can help them. So again, guys, be persistent, but don't be annoying.
Yeah, it's that persistent and consistent, right? Being persistent and consistent, that's the key. But like Alex is saying, don't be annoying. You have to. Let's talk now about frequency. I think everybody will agree that those are the methods of follow-up. These are your options. Take a picture, take a screenshot. Somebody put it in the comment section. Somebody from my team put it in the comment section. Phone, email, LinkedIn, snail mail, cold visit, social engagement, trade show, and texting. Everybody in the comment section is agreeing. This is the list. So somebody throw that list up there to help everybody out. Let's talk about frequency now. How frequent? I guess it depends on what you're doing, right? So the frequency is going to be dictated based on what stage you're at. If it's a cold contact, your frequency is going to be different than if it's I just sent you a quote, respond to me, please, and let's see if we can get this deal going. But I would say at a minimum, if it's hot to trot, I would say 2 times in 1 week. Have I ever asked you to do any more than that, Alex? I probably have.
You've told me to do 2 emails and like a text message, if you're going to count that. If you're going to do an email, that's so technically 3.
So 3 touch points in a week.
Yeah.
I would say 2. So on average, 2 times a week or 1x per week. But it depends on what stage you're at, what part of the process, and also what methods, right? Because like if you send somebody an email, who cares? You can send somebody 5 emails in a week. Most of the time, they're not even going to see them because they got so many emails coming in. But you gotta kind of mix and match. You got to pick something from the method side and hit it with a frequency. Maybe it's 1 email. So like something that our team does, and we train our client sales teams like this too, is if you leave a voicemail, what do, Alex?
Follow up with an email.
Follow up with an email, because you don't know how you're going to get a hold of this person. You leave them a voicemail. Maybe they never checked their voicemail. Now your email is a follow-up being like, hey, I just left you a voicemail that I wanted to talk to you about X, Y, and Z. Checking to see if I can get a hold of you via email. To me, that's just 1 follow-up, right? It's like it's 2 methods, but it's in the same thing. You're just letting them know, hey, I just left you a voicemail. Technically, it's 2 follow-up attempts, but it's the same thing on 2 different channels. So I would say, if Alex called somebody, left a voicemail, sent them an email, they didn't respond, later in the week, I would say, dude, shoot them a text, shoot them a message on LinkedIn. Like that to me is acceptable within the frequency.
Oh, yeah. And again, guys, with the information you get, so you follow up with somebody and they say, hey, next week, we're going to be making a decision, or I'm bringing this to the team next week. Okay, then next week, at the end of the week, you've gotten the information that it's going to be next week. Don't on Monday be like, hey, what's the deal? Next week could have been, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. But once it starts getting towards the middle or to the end of the week, that's a perfect opportunity for you to touch back base again, doing another follow-up, being like, hey, I don't know whether you've already met with them yet. Just checking base as to see whether you need any more information from us to help present what we're trying to sell to your team to help it easier for you to sell. So that, again, guys, is going to be very important.
All right, so I hope that might give you guys some tips. The key takeaway is frequency and method is you have to change up your methods. You cannot stick with the same thing. No different than a cold contact. If you're reaching out to somebody that you've already quoted, you have to change it up. You're going to be able to get a hold of them one of at least 7 ways. Email, phone, text, one of those 7 ways, something's going to work. You have to look for it's like the underpriced attention. Where are they getting the least amount of activity? For a lot of people, it's LinkedIn messages. I can shoot somebody a LinkedIn message and they'll see that before they see an email I sent because they get 100 emails a day. So it just gets lost in the shuffle. Whereas other people, never on LinkedIn, don't check it. It's tied to their personal email. They don't get the notifications. They don't have it on their phone. So it just all depends. But that's the key, is that matching up the frequency with those methods.
And make sure when you guys are doing your follow-ups that it's not, create some engaging, create some crafty subject lines. Don't just be like following up ? What's the plan or what's the deal ? Follow up with something, because especially if it's not a cold contact, if you've already sent a proposal to them, follow it up with a little bit more of an engaging, be like, hey, what's your plan going in, or something that you've talked about in your previous discovery call. Touch base on that. Make that a portion of like your subject line, because it gets them more likelihood to open it, because it's not just following up. Because as soon as they read that, they're going to go, yeah, okay, the sales guy's pestering me about something I either A, have not had a chance to really think about, B, we haven't made decisions, C, it's on the back burner. So again, create those crafty subject lines, and what you have in your follow-up. Make sure it's something entertaining or value driven or question, or something, you're trying to ask them a question to get some more information out of it. Don't just be like following up ? What's the deal ? Ask them, hey, have you guys made a decision? Have you brought it to your team, etc.
Yeah. So something that, you can't say the same message over and over again, but something that I've seen work is just being like, where do we go from here? Like, I'm just following up to see, where do we go? What's the next steps? Like, I've reached out. What do you want us to do? Just very simple and to the point, instead of being like, what's the deal? Just being like, hey, where do we go from here?
Does the proposal I sent over make sense still? Something along those lines, like making it so some of the follow-ups, you may have sent the proposal 6, 7, 8 weeks in the past and you haven't had any information. They may have changed. So giving them the opportunity to be like, hey, actually the proposal you sent over, or the product that you sent over, actually isn't what we're currently looking for. We have now changed to go along this line. Then that opens up, again, those talks, opening up those lines of engagement.
All right, so next thing we're talking about, number 3, cold contact, FU stands for follow-up. I love putting that out there. I didn't want to put it out there first, but we always put it in HubSpot, and it's initially people are like, what does FU mean? I mean, you know what it means, but it means follow-up. So cold contact follow-up. This is somebody that brand new to you. You sent out some sort of marketing, sales stuff to them. What are the tactics on how to follow up with those people? How frequently should you follow up with them? How aggressive should you be on that follow-up? It has to start with what is the initial outreach. So hopefully you've got a marketing team or an agency like ours that's taking care of that for you with sequences, workflows, etc. We're bringing in cold contacts, sending out some sort of sequence to drive engagement, and it's automated, so that way the salespeople aren't having to do all that boots on the ground. So hopefully that's in place. If it's not in place, then you need to get something like that together. For you smaller guys out there that don't have systems, don't have an agency, don't have a budget for that, totally fine. You have to do it on your own. But what do you think are the most effective methods of that cold contact follow-up after that initial outreach? What have you seen?
Providing value. That's going to be one of the big things, is having a value-driven content when you're following up. Showing them, whether that be a white paper, whether that be something that's explaining why your company or how your company has benefited companies like theirs. Creating a value-driven, showing them, giving them an opportunity of, hey, check this out, check this video out that we created for a client, check this article that we wrote for a client, check out these SEO results that we've gotten for a client just like yours. So it gives them an opportunity to look, to learn, to listen, to go, okay, this is something that we need. Even if they're not aware of it right now, if you provide something value-driven, we have we've sent emails, we've sent marketing emails that go out that give people an example, give people a video to watch, give people an article to read, and they come back and they message me and go, I had no idea this was even a problem. We're creating Vidyard videos now where we're sitting there and I'm creating custom videos for my clients that we're going, or my potential clients, cold contact clients that I'm going through. And I get emails from them going, hey, thank you so much for pointing that out. I was unaware of it. And again, I've said this before, make sure you guys aren't pointing out, if you're going to do that, make sure you guys aren't like, well, your website here is trash. Your SEO results are terrible, because you might be sending it to someone that's their job. Make sure you're just like, hey, like these kind of things here, we see the movement, pointing it out, almost giving them a carrot to make that assumption themselves. Not necessarily saying this is bad, but if I go on the SEO results and I'm looking at it and I go, hey, you know, your SEO results for this specific keyword that you guys are trying to rank for, you're on like the second or third page of Google. Anybody that uses Google knows second or third page of Google is basically a ghost town. No one goes past there, so you're able to get them to draw that assumption themselves that, hey, this keyword that I'm trying to rank for, this company is telling me that, you know, I'm not ranking for that. And that's just an example for us here on the marketing side. You guys can use your own example with that, be a machine, whether that be a press or anything you guys are selling. Hey, look at what we can do over here with our press that we know that your press necessarily can't do that you're using now, or your machine that you're not using now.
Yeah, so really tying it into where, so the Vidyard videos, and I don't know if you guys have explored into creating custom one-off videos, but the method and the process here is that if we're sending out cold contacts or cold content to cold contacts, and we feel like they're a good fit, we feel like we've gone to the website, there's a high probability that we can definitely help them out, then what we do is we will go in and shoot a video where the camera's on us and we're sharing our screen at the same time. And you're just trying to point out things. So in your specific situation, like Alex is saying, if you're selling seals, CNC machining, et cetera, being like, hey, Joe, notice that you guys have these parts or this equipment at your company. I think that what we do here would be a great fit for you because of X, Y, and Z. And you just shoot pretty much like a 1-minute video. You embed that into an email so they get an animated GIF, and it's showing something like you scrolling on their site, you looking at their LinkedIn, et cetera. And when they click on it, they watch the full video, and you're able to look at the watch time from that. Now, Vidyard is certainly not a cheap solution. It's going to run you a minimum $500 a month for a couple people who have a license. But you could also shoot one-off videos with Loom or any sort of screen recording software. But that's like if you want to get attention to a cold contact and you're following up on previous emails you sent, how can you be different? So if you just look at your own inbox and look at all the attempts of people trying to sell and market to you, what's going to stand out? Is it the short subject line? Is it question marks? Is it like what makes it stand out for you, and applying that to the same people you're trying to reach to a certain extent, like shorter subject lines or requesting a meeting or things like that that are going to stand out to you could stand out to them, and you need to test that out with your messaging. And then once you open the email, what works is long emails are not going to work. But I tell you what, 2 sentences and a video, an animated GIF in the body line of like me waving my hand or something like that, that's going to stand out. As long as it's delivered to there and they open it, that's going to stand out to where I don't think we've never had a bad response to us doing that. If anything, it's been positive. The key is getting them to open it, which is step one. Once they open it, there's always a good response. Even if it's thank you for the video, we don't have a need. The Vidyard videos or sending custom videos is a great way to follow up with those initial cold contacts.
And again, it's showing value. It's showing that you have created something customized for them, that you've done a little bit of research, because we all know, we're all, as the sales guys know that, or people that have been sold to as well, that sometimes sales guys just go in there and are doing the same spiel every time. You're showing them value. You're showing them that you took your time to go through their website, show them an issue that you have noticed or that they have, and that you can address it.
Yeah, exactly. So like Alex said, you got to start with value. Hopefully you send something that gets their attention, but you got to lead with value. Provide them something of value, because just being like, hey, I'm just wanting to sell you some stuff, like nobody's going to respond to that. No. But if I say, hey, here's something you can use, a guide, a downloadable guide, a book, a tool, a conversion sheet, anything like that, send it to them, especially in the follow-up method, especially once you're following up. You've gotten their attention, now you're following up on that, sending them something super valuable. Hey, I was just thinking of you, saw this tool that we had, thought you might get some value out of it. Send it off, whether it's one-off or you're doing it through automation, sending some sort of value. But then again, even with this, you got to go back to your methods and the frequency. Like, how are you following up with your cold contacts? If your cold contact initially engaged on email, that does not mean, or let's say that they just opened it, that does not mean that you can't get them in all these other methods, right? So here, what we do and what we train our salespeople to do at our clients is email, phone, and LinkedIn. Those top three most important. So you should give them a phone, send them an email, some sort of cold contact, right? Some sort of cold outreach. Send them an email. Then you want to give them a phone call, send them another email, send them a connection request on LinkedIn. So that way you're mixing it up and you're figuring out what's the underpriced attention, the best way to get a hold of them on what platform. That's what you're trying to go after, is figure out what it is. And then from there, I mean, texting is going to be the fastest, but you're not going to cold text an engineer or a purchasing or operations person, right? You do that after you've established that there's a relationship there, but you're not going to go cold with them. So you want to figure out what it is. And in order to do that, you have to hit those methods. And then from there, change it up to where you're not just doing the same follow-up method at the same frequency. You got to change it up with the valuable content and see what works best.
And use that CRM system, guys. If you guys have a CRM system, if you don't, that is going to be one of the most important things, especially for cold contacts. I know I mentioned it earlier that our sales guys, when they're going through there, if they're sending a text message, even if they send a text message, they log that activity. I know all of you sales guys say, I hate my sales manager because they want me to upload Salesforce. They want me to upload the CRM system that we're using. Guys, that's the most important thing. We can't tell, us as sales managers and sales guys, if, you know, when you come in and you're taking over someone else's pipeline, you know that having notes in there is important. You know, having the, hey, we've touched these person, having the notes of how they've touched, because it can make you guys look foolish if you go and you are trying to be proactive and you go to follow up with somebody and you haven't put the notes in and you've forgotten that, hey, they actually said no. And now 2 months down the road, I'm trying to follow up with the same person and they told us no. They're going to email and you go, I told you no. I said that we are not currently looking for this. And, you know, that's going to burn your bridges later down. That's going to burn portion of that relationship because they're just going to look at you and be like, these guys are disorganized. Or they're just going to be like, these guys are just sending out these follow-ups and they have no idea who they're sending it to.
Exactly. All right, let's jump into the next section. That is 1, 2, 3, 4. Proposal sent follow-up. Proposal sent. So you guys sent pricing. Proposal sent. There's going to be a lot of the same here. So 2 different methods, 2 different situations. One's cold and warm, kind of similar. Proposal sent and warm, even if they haven't given you an RFQ, you haven't sent them pricing yet. I feel like a warm contact, a warm person, and a proposal sent method are very similar. But put yourself in a situation where you just sent a proposal and they're ghosting you. What do you do?
Are you saying what do we do as MFG?
What would you do?
Well, my first and foremost thing would be, have I created a good enough relationship with them? Have I formed that relationship? If you've gotten to the point where you've sent them a proposal, you should have had at least one, large meeting discovery call, have been touching base with them. You know what problems they're trying to arise. If I'm going to go and I've been ghosted and I'm trying to come up here and I'm on the proposal sent and I'm trying to do a follow-up, I'm going to touch base on things in my follow-up that we discussed. I'm going to be like, problem X, Y, and Z. Is this still a problem that the proposal can fix? Or, along those lines, you brought up problem X, Y, and Z. This is obviously something we can assist. Does this still make sense to you? Creating that form of relationship, that sense of relationship at the beginning is important for that follow-up when you have sent those proposals, because then you can ask them the questions. And if they see you as a human, not just that sales guy, they're going to have the tendency to be a little bit more honest with you. Kyle and I know this is a follow-up one, but again, guys, relationships are important. If people will not buy things from people they do not like. So if you have formed that relationship, that proposal sent follow-up will come easy. They will give you the information that you're asking for because they see you as a friend, as a colleague, as someone that as a human being. They're not going to sit there and ignore you and ghost you for the most part, unless they don't have a decision yet. And they're we all have those people, in relationships and everything that are just natural ghosters. But most people, if you form that relationship, are going to give you the information that you ask. Hey, not yet. Hey, we're having this meeting next week. They're going to be honest with you. Hey, our budget isn't there quite yet, maybe 3 months down the road. So that's going to be the most important thing, is having that relationship, I would say, and then following up with something that you've discussed, not just, hey, how's the proposal look? Hey, how does the proposal look for problem X, Y, and Z that we had discussed?
Yeah, so there's even different methods to it when it comes to what stages of that, right? So you built trust, you've got a relationship formed. Obviously, you sent them pricing because you built some trust. Then you are following up on what you sent over. I feel like if we take one step back and say, in that conversation, when you are saying, I'm going to send you pricing, right? I'm going to send you a proposal. Locking in the fact of when you're going to send it, when they're going to make their decision, setting the expectations, all that is important because then it makes it easier to follow up with people if they know that you're going to, right? So for instance, conversation I had today with somebody, hey, I'm going to get this proposal off to you by this date and send it over. What's your first available that we can review it? Oh, it's going to be in 2 weeks. Okay, can I get some time on the calendar now to lock in that, okay, that one Tuesday at 10 o'clock, we're going to review the proposal together, locking in at that point. So it takes away a little bit of the guesswork. But let's just say that most of the time you can't do that. Still letting them know, I'm going to send you this proposal and I'm going to follow up with you in a week if I don't hear back from you. And then when you're following up with them, hey, per our conversation, I'm following up with you. It's been a week. Want to touch base and see if you've got a chance to review it. Now, the sneaky side of it is if you're using proposal software like we are, we can see when they open it. We can see what stage they're at in it, what did they view, how much time they spent on it, all of that stuff. But if you don't have that, you can still follow up and say, I told you I was going to follow up in 7 days. It's been 7 days. There's no like shocker here, right? That you're following up. You told them you're going to do it. Now, at that point, if they're ghosting you, it doesn't necessarily mean that, like we've dealt with this before. It's like you send a proposal and you just get ghosted in the follow-up. And it's like, frustration sets in where it's like, dude, like they're not responding to me. They might, like, you start to doubt yourself. You start to be like, they're probably not going to buy. It could just be that they're busy. And that's where you got to kind of be strategic and tactful. If you built that relationship well, then they might give you the courtesy of being like, hey, sorry, dude, I haven't gotten a chance to take a look at this yet, but it is on my agenda. Just give me a little bit more time. You'll get like that sympathy response. But staying persistent with that.
Yes.
And just once a week, once every 2 weeks, right? Just following up. But again, same thing as a cold contact, using different methods. If they're ghosting you on a proposal follow-up, that doesn't necessarily mean that they don't want to do business with you. It could be that they're busy, but being annoying is what you're trying to avoid.
And again, that following up isn't just about closing deals. Yes, that is our main priority, but deals, we all know that deals get pushed down, throughout the year. Hey, maybe next year, stuff like that. Your follow-up is not just about closing deals. Your follow-up is getting the information that you need in order to close the deal, or get the information that you need to close the deal later and build that lasting relationship.
Exactly. So next thing in the proposal sent follow-up, let's talk about ghosting. I'm gonna attempt, which I'm not the worst drawer, but not the best. So let's do a little Pac-Man.
The Pac-Man ghost?
The Pac-Man ghost. Pac-Man. For all you old people. That's not bad, right?
That's good. That's a good one.
That's pretty good. I just got to draw Pac-Man.
Yeah, waka.
So ghosting. Everybody's been ghosted, professionally and personally. Guarantee it. Everybody's gone through the ghosting. What do you do?
More than others,
Yeah, some of them more than others. So talk about the ghosting and what do you feel like is a way to circumvent the ghosting and prevent it from happening in the first place? Let's start there.
Well, everyone's going to hate me, but again, the relationship building, that's going to be, the big thing about, not getting ghosted is forming that relationship, but also being creative. No one's going to be able to not respond to you if you do something creative. If you have something funny to say, if you have something, cool to share with them, it's going to be really difficult for them not to respond to you, especially if you're getting in front of them. Again, if they're ghosting you, getting in front of their LinkedIn, are they consistently posting to LinkedIn? Send them something on LinkedIn, send them something funny. Be like, hey, check this out that's industry related, or even something that is just funny that you find that's work related. Obviously, don't send them personal things, memes and gifts, but if you see something work related that's funny that someone's posting, send them that, see if they engage. If they engage in that, then boom, gotcha. Let me sit there and message you now. Again, don't go straight into selling. If they view it and they respond to you, keep that conversation going, then you can flow it into something else. But relationships, again, I always say relationships.
Yeah. So going back to that trust building, if you've built and shown value to them, that you're a valuable person, you've done your identification in the pitching process, figuring out what are their problems, you've offered up a solution, you're building the trust, then realistically, nobody should ever ghost you. The only ghosting would come in is like they don't have an answer right now. So that happens a lot. Where it's like it's not that they're not responding to you because they don't have or because they don't want to. It's that they don't have anything. A lot of people just don't. A lot of people won't respond back to you because they're like, I don't have an answer. They won't say, hey, look, I don't have a response. I don't have an answer. That's on the back burner. A lot of people won't do that, but it's unintentional. It's like unintentional ghosting. And so if you built that trust, if you built that relationship, then it shouldn't happen to the point where it shouldn't be a month of being ghosted. Maybe a week because they're busy, 2 weeks, but it shouldn't be like months and months and months. But what do you do in a situation where people have been ghosting you and not responding to you after you feel like you had a good conversation? Because I know that industrial salespeople deal with this all the time. I did when I was in your guys' shoes. Had a good conversation. They're like, yes, love what you sent over. We just need to have some internal meetings, and all of a sudden they ghost you, and it's been 3-4 months. Alex, how are you handling
I'm
that?
showing up to your house. I'm just kidding. I'm not. No.
You might.
I might. If you lived in Texas, I
Yeah.
might drive over there with a nice little bouquet of flowers or some chocolates or something like
Yeah.
that, just to get your attention. But again, it's being different, sticking out, doing different things that are going to get their attention. Whether that be again going through the LinkedIn, going through your social media, going through different areas or different techniques or different channels to actually talk with them. And sometimes looking back at what you've talked about, look back and see, hey, have I missed something? Have I missed something that they've said in the notes that you've had in your discovery calls? Rewatch your discovery call videos. Have I missed something that there is a reason for them ghosting me? I don't know about you, Kyle. What would you recommend?
So I would say, I'm just not going to give up.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna keep I don't take it personal. I don't take ghosting personal. I look at it as something came up, and even if you're intentionally avoiding me, I will find a way to infiltrate your systems. And
He gets the best luck, I will tell you guys. I don't know.
It ain't luck,
That's
man.
true. That's true. That's true.
Skill.
I sit there and I'll give them some clients of mine, that have been cold, and I'm going, hey, they're really ghosting me, and Kyle will do something creative and off the wall where I never even thought, necessarily about that, and creative and off the wall. And sure enough, what happens? 5 or 10 minutes later, they've responded, whether that be on email, whether that be on the text, whether that be on LinkedIn, something that he has said or sent, it happens. And sometimes, guys, you have to go to the next person. Maybe you're following up, maybe you being the same person following up, go to your sales manager, go to your CEO, go to somebody else to see whether, hey, maybe somebody of higher authority following up might get an answer, because then, the person that you're selling to goes, oh man, this is now, gone up a level. The CEO, the sales manager is now trying to get my info or trying to get an answer out of me. That is another way to lead into them answering you, is taking it to that next step.
Yeah. So that's like phoning a friend, right? Yeah. And so that's where, if there's deals that Alex or Mason have, they quoted something, they're not getting a response, I say, bring it to me, let me try. Not necessarily like, oh, I'm the boss, I'm going to get attention on it. It's just somebody different.
Yeah.
It's a different email. It's a different phone number. It's a different person at the other end of the line. It's a different person asking or leaving a voicemail. It's a different person texting. But I just look at it as, look, you can only fail if you give up, right? And so if you never give up, you're waiting for them to tell you this deal is dead, we're not going to go with you.
They're never going to tell you unless you ask.
And unless you get a hold of them, right? And so if you can't get a hold of them, you don't know the answer to that. So to me, that's still a viable deal. Now, should that take over your entire brain? Like, I need to work this deal. This deal's hot. It's going to be a deal. After a few months, the deal is not hot, and it's basically back to cold. But that doesn't mean that you give up. So if you can't fail until you give up, then you never give up until you hear them say, this is a dead deal, let's move on. And then it goes into a win back, right? If it's a good potential customer, it's close loss, but you want to win it back. So we've got a stage in our pipeline, close loss - win back. We had good conversation with them. For whatever reason, it didn't work out on this project. It got pushed, whatever. They picked somebody else for it. But we want to win that back because there's always more opportunities, especially in industrial. If you're on the service side and you're doing projects, production, they say no to this one project. This doesn't mean no for forever. That just means no for that right now. Figure out, why didn't you get that work? and then try and get the next project and stay and follow up with them. Because those people you've already built trust with, that's the lowest hanging fruit. You built trust with them. They asked you to provide you pricing. You did that. You didn't win it, but you can win the next one. So my advice is never give up. Nothing's ever dead until they say it's dead. And a no response is not a no at all. It just means that you didn't do something creative enough to get in front of them, or you're using the wrong methods at the wrong frequency. Industrial sales guys all the time will be like, hey, did you guys follow up with that? We'll be in meetings with the sales team. How many times did you guys follow up? Well, I followed up like 2 weeks ago via email. No, dude, one to two times a week on different methods. Email, LinkedIn message, phone call, voicemail, email. See them at an industry trade show. If they're still not following up with you, send them something in snail mail. And you can automate part of that process with workflows to where you can take a list and say, for these people, I'm going to automate it and send them this flyer because they haven't responded to me. So there's lots of different things that you can do from a standpoint of getting attention. But if they're ghosting you, just continue being persistent and consistent with it.
And sharing those, sometimes sharing some of those case studies that you guys have. If your company has a case study on something, and you haven't sent to them, they haven't seen it, and they're ghosting you, sometimes that's an ideal opportunity. You know that you have a case study of a client that that you have serviced or given a product to or a service to that has grown, that has literally blown everything out of the water. Present that to them. Sometimes, again, providing another sense of value, another source of value to them can pull them out of that ghosting phase, because they might be like, oh, actually, no, wait, this proposal makes sense. And now I can see this real world case study of the thing that you are actually talking about. Let me bring that back to my people. Let me reevaluate what I have been thinking, or let me actually make this a priority if we haven't actually made a decision yet.
Exactly. So with that being said, we're going to wait for our last point until we come back from a break. So watch this quick video, then we'll be going through the comment section and hit you with that one last point before we wrap this up.
Switch up the flow, show you the way that it go. God is good, but this life is hard. But it gets better when you grind small. I'm just really trying to leave a mark. We tired of being who they say we are. That's the time we gon' take it far. Always be real, we don't fake it all. Tired of 9 to 5, just making nothing survive. Only living on the weekends. You really thinking that's why I'm alive?
All right, guys, we're back after that short break. Hopefully you like our entertaining videos. Jordan is going to go through all these comments. He's going to read every single one very, very slowly. Just kidding. He's not. He's just going to go through the questions that I didn't answer, and he's going to read the comments to hype us up, make sure people are engaging with this.
All right. Here's a good one. Carl, after the initial contact, when we then follow up, what happens if I get a reply on initial contact and nothing on the follow-up emails or calls? What then next step?
What then next step is, I would say, so you got an initial response on an email, then you called and sent an email and follow-up, and you're not getting a response. Number one, after you got that initial response, you should have sent them a LinkedIn connection request to connect on that platform, so you have that third follow-up method in your back pocket. I would say it depends on the frequency and the timing behind it. If you sent them an email 2 days later and you've waited a week and they haven't responded, send them another email, most likely that they're busy. Hopefully you're using some sort of CRM system where you can track if it was delivered and opened. You can do it for free with HubSpot. I mean, you can do $25 a month with HubSpot just to say, connect to my inbox. You don't have to be doing all blown marketing automation, but being able to see it was delivered and it was open, that gives you insights into, did he open it and not responding to me? Or did he not even open it yet because it's buried in his spam folder or in his inbox or something like that? But I would say that continue to do that. Give him a call, check to see, type his phone number into your phone and see if you get that blue bubble if you're an iPhone user. And if they have a phone, be like, hey, Joe, just wanted to follow up via text. Looking forward to speaking with you, etc. Sent you an email. But change your follow-up method. That doesn't change. Whether they're a cold contact, proposal sent, you're still going to change different methods and frequencies, but you have to be consistent and persistent because timing is everything on that.
Make sure you're replying to that chain too. So if he's already replied to you and you're sitting there and you're creating a whole nother email, that has a more likelihood to go to the spam. Make sure you're replying to that chain. If he's responded to you once, make sure you're following up in that chain. A lot of people will do a follow-up on a brand new email, but responding to that chain has a higher likelihood for him seeing it because it will be a response. That he'll see RE, something. So he knows or she knows that they have responded to this before. Let me open this again and see what this person has to say.
But the key is don't give up. Just because they didn't respond to one, who cares? They're probably busy. Don't take it personal. Hopefully you've got 100 people in your pipeline that are responding to stuff to where you're just working through a cycle of like this person, this person, this person. You've got it all on lockdown. But I would say until you've tried 5, 6, 7 times from that initial follow-up, multiple methods, phone, email, LinkedIn at a minimum, texting if you want to, then I would say that thing is still good. Most likely they're busy. Most likely they didn't see your message. Most likely they didn't open it. They're not ghosting you yet. But if you've determined they engaged back with me and you went to their website or you know what they do and it's a viable fit for you, don't give up. Just keep going at it. That is number one. What industrial salespeople do is they try a couple times, they try a few times, they give up. Do it for 3 or 4 months. You'd be shocked that 5, 6 months later, that next follow-up, like, hey, just touching base, you reached back out to me 5 months ago. They're like, yes, sorry, it's been crazy. I've been traveling. We've changed bosses, etc. I've got different workload. Yes, I do want to have a conversation now. You'd be shocked at how many times that happens.
All right, reading Dave. Yep, follow-up is essential. Although if you never give them time to do the work to discover what they need, then you go from essential urgent to essential non-urgent.
Yeah. So discover what they need, but also you have to walk people through a process because a lot of times people don't know what they actually need until you ask them questions. So it's those thought-provoking questions of, hey, what do you guys got going on with this? What do you got going on with that? What's the top 3 issues that you're having with your supply chain? How are you guys dealing with your projects? What are some pain points you have? Sometimes people don't know a problem until you ask them questions and they're like, oh, shoot, you know what? I do have an issue with that. It's like so many times Alex has talked to people and they're like, we just want to talk about this thing. And then Alex talks to him and asks some questions in Discovery. And it's like, oh, wait, he goes in thinking it's talking about this. He comes out, it's this. And they're like, yes, we did have that issue.
Yeah, and again, the questions that you guys ask, I have them written on my board. When I first came to MFG Tribe, Kyle, I had been in sales before. I had been, in sales for multiple years. Kyle came in and he tailored the questions that we were to be that I needed to be asked. I have 5 questions, basically. What are they, Kyle? Let's see if you remember them. I have 5 questions that I have to ask before I finish my discovery calls. I'll give you a hint. One of them is, what are we trying to complete with this project?
What are we trying to complete? What are you currently doing?
Yep. Time frame.
Yeah, what's the time frame? What's your budget?
And
when are you making a decision?
Yeah, decision makers.
And who's the decision makers? Yeah.
Those 5 questions, guys, if you can get those 5 questions answered, just having the one question of what are you guys trying to accomplish with this? For us, for example, we're trying to be, if for a client of ours, they're trying to dominate the space that they're trying to come into. Okay, next question, what are you currently doing? They list what they're currently doing. I know what we offer here. There are things that they aren't doing that we offer. Then I bring those up. Have you guys thought about, some SEO optimization, actually going through that? Have you thought video? Have you thought about consistently posting content and articles on your page? Just asking those questions will get people to realize, hey, if they might have this focus and think that this is the only solution that they have to their problem, but you're able to open their minds and go, hey, no, there's other solutions, there's other ways that we can go about it, and there's a lot more opportunity if you do all of this at once, or if you do this versus this.
Yeah, so let's say that you're in a situation where you are an industrial service provider. You're doing CNC machining, injection molding, metal forming, etc. Somebody sends you an RFQ, you get on a phone call with them. The key step here is they're looking at a project, a singular thing. That's why they reached out to you. They have a need, they reached out to you and they want to talk about it. But the salesperson has to take one step back and has to ask the question before the end of that call. Okay, we've talked about this project. How much are you guys spending on an annual basis doing things like this? How much are you spending in plastics, if that's what you do? How much are you spending in metal forming? How much are you spending in stamping? What is the overall scope of your business? Because you need to understand what they have. Because they may just say, oh, you know what? We spend about $150,000 a year. Even though we're a $100 million a year company, this really isn't something that we focus on. But what if they say, we spend about $142 million on this service. We're just talking about a $300,000 project, but we spent about $140 million. That just leads you into asking them additional questions to be able to say, what is a common issue that you guys are having with your suppliers right now or in the past 6 months? So you can start to understand the issues that they're having and then come with a solution as long as your company can do it. Maybe they're saying on-time delivery, increased pricing. So with the supply chain being volatile and commodity pricing going all over the place, people are going to quote something and then that price isn't valid 60 days later because raw material costs have changed. And they're like, that's the biggest issue I'm having right now. And we're going to be getting rid of suppliers that keep doing that. Maybe you price in a little bit of a buffer so that way when that does go up and down, they're like, you know what, I can give you 2% of your price back because you built in that buffer in pricing. But those questions are important to ask in that initial discovery phase, in that initial RFQ, talking about a project, asking them those questions. But a lot of times salespeople are just like tunnel vision focused.
Yeah.
I'm like, I got one on the hook and we're talking about this project and we're going to go through it. And I'm going to ask the question to make sure I know the material, the finish, the lead time delivery, the annual revenue or the annual volume, all that stuff, how they want their parts packed, all of these different things. And they're not like, whoa, dude, take a step back and be like, how big is this fish? Is this like a massive type of opportunity? And don't just look at the company size, but is this a big deal? And if it is, you need to ask a lot. Go for it, Jordan.
Sorry, the string just cut out or something.
Are we back? Are we
Yeah,
here?
we're back.
We're back.
Thumbs up.
Give me some thumbs. We're rolling on to 60 minutes.
All right, Carl. Yes, social engagement has been working for me. I never did that before. Be present in the industrial online.
That's
In
right,
the
Carl.
industry online.
That's right, Carl. Amen.
Staying present is important, guys. Making sure you're consistently posting. People will forget about you very quickly.
Eric, to be persistent following up without being a pest in a customer responses with they are waiting on X, Y, and Z as an example. I then ask when would be a good time to follow up again.
Yeah. So asking them what would be a good time to follow up or being like, would it be okay if I followed up with you in this date? Sometimes people don't want to tell you because they don't want to make that decision.
Or just making it a joke. Sometimes when I get that, we're waiting on X, Y, and Z, I'll say, okay, hey, I'm going to keep pestering you, every few weeks. If you get a decision before then, let me know. But every few weeks, I'm going to pester you. Even saying I'm going to pester you every few weeks. It'll get a laugh out of them because they're going to go, hey, he's acknowledging that he's going to be pestering me. B, it doesn't, stress them out necessarily to have to go, okay, I have to respond to him every time he pesters, but they are knowing that you're going to pester them. So when you do send them the email, they're not going, oh, why is he doing that? They go, yes, he did say he was going to pester me. And it gives them more of a likelihood to respond to you on one of those pesterings, because if they do get information, they're going to go, hey, he told me he's going to keep pestering me until I give him some sort of information. So maybe, hey, off of X, Y, and Z that I'm waiting for, I found X and Y, I'm still just waiting for Z. And then you can again follow it with, okay, I'm going to keep pestering until you figure out Z, or when's a good time for me to do it. There's a plethora of different ways that you can follow up and make it so they don't feel pressured.
Yeah, I think it could be like what Eric's talking about is it's a situation where, and correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, maybe I'm nail on the head here. He's quoting somebody that they're waiting on their customer to answer if the project's good or not. So it's like he's quoting a component to somebody. That person takes his aspect and other people into it. Then they quote the entire package to a bigger company, and he's not direct with the end user. So he's saying the person that they quoted is waiting for the people that they quoted to answer, is this good or not? Still same situation. I just feel like you could ask, hey, when is a good time to follow up? Or you could say, hey, I'm going to follow up with you in 10 days. Is that okay? And they're probably going to be like, yeah, that's fine. Or you could ask them, like you said, Eric, hey, when's a good time to follow up? When do you expect them to be making a decision or giving you some updated information? And then set that calendar, lock it in, and then be like a dog on the back of a meat truck, following that and staying consistent. What else you got, Jordan?
We have, it says unknown LinkedIn user, but I think their name is Andy.
We got you, Andy.
An in-person visit for a proposal or quote follow-up usually gets you in some additional feedback and inside track to the business.
Yeah, that's Andy Malang. So yes, 100% agree. If you could do an in-person visit, right? If you can do it, it works. What if they're out of state? What if they are not in your local area? What if you're quoting somebody there in Chicago, you're in Texas, they're in Florida? 100% in-person visit. I mean, all in-person visits. If you could have every conversation face-to-face in person like it used to be back in the day, that's a faster way to build trust. But I 100% agree with you, Andy. In-person visits, if you can, following up on that proposal, that's where understanding where are all your customers at. If you're going to a trade show, if you're going to be in an area, let them know. I'm traveling to Charlotte. I'm going to be in your area, figuring out what cold prospects do you have there and what current people do you have there. You can, I want to pop in and visit for 20, 30 minutes, talk about that proposal. And honestly, sometimes those deals are worth it. I have traveled 6-8 hours via car for a 30 to a 60-minute meeting to then drive back because I'm following up on that proposal, reviewing it in person. This is going back to the 2012, 2013, 14 days. Did tons of travel like that because it was worth it, because it was a multi-6-figure to a 7-figure deal for the company I was working for. So it's worth my time to spend 14 hours in a car to close that deal. But 100% agree that in-person will always trump every other different type of method.
Forrest Gump it, man. Just start going all over the nation.
Yeah,
Just start walking all over the nation, doing those in-person visits, knocking on doors.
Walking. Don't be walking.
Yeah, walking.
Don't be walking.
All right, we got one more.
One more before we're getting kicked out of the studio.
Ron, getting that closed loss feedback is invaluable.
Yes, Ron, it is. I would say get the closed loss feedback, number one, and then log it in your CRM system like HubSpot to then be able to track, why are we losing these? And you can look at consistency. If it's always price, that's okay. You don't want to be the cheapest. But if it's like feedback time, engineering support, like the tools that you guys have, the processes that you guys are offering, but be like, hey, I mean, what we do, it's so funny how frequently people respond. So even, I think it was this week, quoted somebody, the person that Palmer was following up with actually left the company at the end of December. The boss responds to the email and says, so sorry, but we've gone in a different direction. We've chosen an agency that our parent company deals with. They're going to take care of this, but I'll reach out to you in the future. So he brings that to me, and I said, reach back out to him and say, who is it that your parent company uses, right?
Ask the questions.
Who do they use? What agency do they go with? And it's like, dude, why would you ask that question? Most people be like, why would you ask that question? You never know what they're going to say. So who did you guys end up going with? What are they doing for you? And is there something that we did or something we can improve on to where we have a better chance next time? They came back and were like, here's the agency.
Yeah.
No, you guys were awesome. It just so happened that our parent company, that was Michelin, like the tire company, the parent company had an agency that was going to take over these small aspects, but they wanted him to reach out in 6 months to check in and see if there's something new. But that's so powerful, just asking them, why didn't we get it? Who'd you go with? Like, I know you're probably not at liberty to say it, but who did you go with?
Even saying that, I know that you probably don't want to tell me that. If you put that in the email, most of the time they're going to tell you. I don't know. I mean, we don't lose many clients like that, but I mean, when I do and I ask that question, most of the time they come back and they tell me. They're like, yep, here you go. Here's the person that we chose. And again, asking those questions, because Most of the time they're going to give you, because a lot of people are going to be like, oh no, I don't want to, necessarily hurt someone's feelings. They're going to give you good feedback. But if they give you, a criticism of, hey, no, this was the thing that really like we wanted to go with. And as Kyle said, if it besides price, because sometimes you guys really can't work on pricing. If it's something that, hey, these guys are better at, bring that to your team. That gives you a perfect opportunity to bring it to your sales team, your marketing team, whoever is in-house fixing it, your engineers or whoever can fix that problem, bringing that problem to them and going, hey, we didn't get a deal because of this. Is this something that we can fix in the future so we don't lose deals to people in the future?
Yeah. And so ask him those questions. Don't be shy about it. Sometimes you can find competitors like that too. You didn't even know you had a sleeping competitor in your backyard stealing business from you. You didn't know it because you never asked, like, who'd you guys go with on this? Sometimes they'll tell you, sometimes they won't. Depends on the situation. No more questions, Jordan. Jordan's saying no more questions because he's like, dude, I'm tired of hitting all these buttons back and forth, mics and cameras and all of this stuff. The last talking point that we'll talk about, and it'll just be real quick, I'll just do a spiel, Alex can do a spiel. Sense of urgency. You guys have to look at this as timing is everything. You call somebody today, you email them, you follow up today, they say no, not right now. You do the same thing 3 days later, something's changed in their business. Timing is everything. You have to have that sense of urgency that, especially in industrial, longer life cycle and longer sales cycle before you close a deal. Sometimes you get that instant business, transfer tooling, etc. That's great. Hey, I have a need, a supplier just went down, whatever, and it's instant business, but most of the time it takes a while, so you got to start that clock now as fast as possible. Start those follow-ups and be urgent about it. Stop being lazy and focus on, I'm here to drive attention, drive awareness, drive revenue for my company. I need to do things today, right now. Follow up today, don't wait until tomorrow, and just get in that repetitive cycle, and before you know it, you're closing way more business.
Our key, or our one of our things that Kyle always says, we have it posted up at the top there, F average, B legendary. If Kyle could give us a second thing that he could post on the wall, which he probably will at some point, he always has ideas. It is a sense of urgency. Everybody in MFG Chart, we all have a sense of urgency. It's a very important thing. Proving to a client of yours that you have a sense of urgency, whether that be from your follow-up, whether that be some of the information that you're sharing with them, it again relates back to the information, having that sense of urgency, of not desperation sense of urgency, but hey, I'm here to help you. I can help you now. We can do this. And at the end of the year, you will have X, Y, and Z, providing that sense of urgency. And again, I don't know how many times, don't be desperate. Desperation and urgency are very close together. When I say that, it's there. If you are too urgent, you can come across as desperate. But desperation and urgency are close enough that if you come across and you give them a sense of it, and you're able to relay that sense, I guess I'm trying to say something, relay that sense of urgency to that person will then adopt that sense of urgency and bring that, to the decision makers. If they're not necessarily a decision maker, or if they are the decision maker, it might bring them to a, hey, now this is a focal point that I need to have because they've brought this sense of urgency to me, bringing out the fact that my SEO or the product that I'm using is going to not benefit me in the long run.
Yeah. So with you guys on industrial side, being like, hey, we got some press time open right now. Now would be a perfect time to transfer the tooling. We've got some open lead time in our new tool builds, etc. And pushing that sense of urgency onto them is critical, because then you're letting them know you've got a gap that you can fill right now with their project. Ask them what is the best way for them to move forward. And maybe they're like on the fence and like, I don't know, but you're like, look, right now I have a good gap and we can get this thing rolling if you take action in the next 1 to 2 weeks. But just so you know, just 100% transparency, if we wait 3 or 4 weeks, it's going to take us a little bit longer. We'll still take care of you, but it's going to take us a little bit longer, pushing that sense of urgency onto them. And with that being said, let's close this thing out. Hopefully you guys got some value out of this content with Alex and me. We will be back in 2 weeks on Thursday at probably 2:30 again to wrap up the afternoon. For those of you that got value out of it, leave a comment section below. Share it with somebody you know. Hit those likes. If you want to watch the full replay, head over to my YouTube channel where we will have the best interactive videos from it, because LinkedIn replays frankly suck. for the
Kyle's
most
wearing a
part.
tuxedo on the next one too. Full on.
Kyle will not wear a
Full on
tuxedo.
tuxedo on the next one,
I'll
guys.
wear a tuxedo when Alex comes in something in way less clothing.
Oof.
When he comes in a Speedo, I'll be wearing a
A
tuxedo.
European style
A
Speedo.
European Speedo, I'll wear a tuxedo.
You won't be
'cause
able to
that
see
rhymes.
me in comparison to the
Yeah,
whiteboard
we're
behind
gonna have to light them with like black lights. Or
Yeah,
something.
basically. Oh, then
And
I'm just
throw-
gonna glow in the dark.
Yeah.
That's gonna be even worse.
We're
Let's
gonna-
not do that. Let's not do
We're
that.
gonna have a literal ghost
Yeah.
glowing, and I'm gonna be Pac-Man, and he's gonna be the glowing ghost in
Yeah.
here. That
Yeah.
would definitely be fun. So, guys, hopefully you got value out of this content. If you did, share it with somebody you know. Go over to YouTube, subscribe to it. Go to the podcast, Industrial Sales and Marketing with me, to listen to the full episode and all this valuable content. And we will see you on the next one.
See you later, guys.